Welcome to day 24 of 31 days, 31 Proverbs. Today we will be in Proverbs 24, covering many themes. Today we will cover desire, adversity, and justice, which, although may seem random and unconnected, they all speak to something deeper within us. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to jump straight into it. These themes speak to what we want, what happens to us, and how we respond. Our first section will be on desire. Recently, I went to this place called Downtown Disney with my friends where we decided to look around and, have a good time. We saw the local fireworks show. We took some pictures. We caught a glimpse of the magic of Disneyland. The place actually was kind of magical to say the least. I'm not going to lie. Downtown Disney is not the most budget friendly place if you've ever been there, especially for a college student like myself. So, for most of the time, we were mostly just window shopping. We looked inside all the cool Disney stores. We checked out all the wacky accessories. And the one place where we actually spent money was this place called Salt and Straw Ice Cream. But even at that ice cream place, there were still a form of window shopping. We looked at all the different flavors and we even sampled some. There were some really wacky flavors. Some included zucchini, some included this blue cheese, even mushroom ice cream. Crazy. Some of those flavors sounded so absurd that they were not even worth trying, at least in my opinion. But just seeing it through the glass, you just knew, yeah, that wasn't it. Then, after careful analysis, we were all able to choose the best flavor based on what we liked and what we didn't like. So, today we will start our episode with the end of Proverbs 24, actually, which captures the same heart for wisely observing, discerning, and then choosing what's best for us. Verse 30 to 34. I passed by the field of a sluggard, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense, and behold, it was all overgrown with thorns. The ground was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. Then I saw and considered it. I looked and received instructions: a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. These verses illustrate how Proverbs are supposed to function. The observer, he takes the information to heart and rightly recognizes the situation at hand and responds accordingly. And so, before we move, God wants to touch the core of our hearts. And one of the core roots is what we desire. What is shaping your desires? Verse 1 and 2: Be not envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them, for their hearts devise violence, and their lips talk of trouble. Today, we believe that we can create our own identity through our own free choices. We may think we are being our true selves, but in reality, we're simply allowing a new community to tell us who we are. And so the question of, individual identity is always and also a question of community. Communities create the paths we walk in. And so all this to say, one's peers can be the greatest threat to their moral life. Verse 6: For by wise guidance you can wage your war, and in abundance of counselors there is victory. We must not be indecisive as well or impulsive. If you consult only a couple, you are likely to choose people from your own perspective. So that's just confirmation bias. And so the thing I'm trying to get at is community shapes your desires. And so wise community is always wise. Simply put, we will see the result of desiring foolishness on the other hand. Verse 8 to 9: Whoever plans to do evil will be called a schemer. The devising of folly is sin, and the scoffer is an abomination of mankind. Those who plan and desire to do evil get a reputation for it. Verse 15: Lie not in wait as a wicked man against the dwelling of the righteous. Do no violence to his home. These verses are aimed at the wicked who commit crimes against the righteous. Verse 17 to 18, do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and let not your heart be glad when he stumbles, lest the Lord see it and be displeased and turn away from his anger from him. The previous verse, verse 15, was aimed at the wicked, while these verses are directed against the righteous who might be tempted to gloat over the downfall of the wicked. It says, the Lord will be displeased. God takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked. Fret not yourselves because of evildoers, and be not envious of the wicked, for the evil man has no future. The lamp of the wicked will be put out. This builds off of our previous verses, and it reassures us that the wicked have no future. And so these are the results of desiring foolishness. Verse 7, wisdom is too high for a fool. In the gate he does not open his mouth. The fool here in this verse is at a loss for words with when a situation calls for serious analysis that I was talking about. Verse 27, prepare your work outside. Get everything ready for yourself in the field. And after that, build your house. On a practical level, you must evaluate how much income you'll make before you know how big a house to build. That's pretty practical, straightforward interpretation of this verse. But on a deeper level, it is foolish to fix our hearts and desires on a lifestyle and try to live in it when we don't have the ability to support it. And so, desire rightly. And to desire rightly is to desire wisdom. Verse 3 to 4, by wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. Verse 5, a wise man is full of strength, and a man of knowledge enhances his might. Wisdom itself, not being wise in your own eyes, loving God, disadvantaging yourselves for others, is in the end the greatest power and strength of them all. And so, to go another layer deeper, desiring wisdom is desiring God. The ultimate power in the universe himself showed that it was strong enough to become weak. So, how? The question is how. I've been talking about desiring rightly and desiring foolishness, desiring wisdom, desiring God. How? How do we desire rightly? Simple answer: worship. Worship helps us desire right. Worship means to give worth. Worship reminds us who is truly worthy of our desires and our adorations. Worship reminds us of God's desire and love for us. Worship sweeps us away and gives us eternity where we are. Worship creates a desire in us to surrender to God and be used by God. So let's learn to worship Him through all seasons of life. Specifically in adversity. The things we go through, that will be our next section, adversity. Verse 15 to 16, lie not in wait as a wicked man against the dwelling of the righteous. Do no violence to his house. For the righteous falls 7 times and rises again, but the wicked stumble in times of calamity. The difference here between the righteous and the wicked is not that one falls and the other doesn't. In fact, who falls more in this verse? It's actually the righteous who fall more. It says they fall 7 times. It is better to fall 7 times and rise up 7 times than to fall once and never get back up. The righteous is able to rise repeatedly through adversity because both his person and his path are sustained by the Lord. Verse 10, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. The true test of a person's strength is adversity. Almost everyone can survive good times. So again, we'll bring up the question, how? How do we survive adversity? How can we pass the test? By believing the gospel of Jesus. The gospel's message about our utter sinfulness keeps us from letting our successes go to our heads, and his message of God's unconditional love helps us get through every and any dark valley. And so, to summarize this quick point about adversity, the righteous are sustained and know how to rise from it. Our last section will be on justice, which speaks to something deeper, how we respond. Verse 11 to 12, rescue those who are being taken away from death, hold back those who are stumbling to the slaughter. If you say, behold, we did not know this, Does not he who weighs the heart perceive it? Does not he who keeps watch over your soul know it? And will he not repay man according to his work? Proverbs calls the righteous to the integrity of character that protects justice, and it proclaims the benefits of wisdom. It warns against living ignorantly to such things or acting as if these types of things don't matter. What is your heart towards the vulnerable, the poor, and or the exploited? Proverbs 24 gives us some ways we could live this out, this awareness, this love, this attention to the vulnerable. Verse 21 to 22, my son, fear the Lord and the king. Do not join with those who do otherwise, for disaster will arise suddenly from them, and who knows the ruin that will come from them both. Good citizenship is part of a wise and godly life. Christians respect and love their country, but not uncritically. Verse 23 to 26, these also are sayings of the wise. Partiality in judging is not good. Whoever says to the wicked, you are in the right, will be cursed by peoples, abhorred by nations, but those who rebuke the wicked will have delight, and a good blessing will come upon them. Whoever gives an honest answer kisses the lips. Christians stand up for what's right, and they don't validate things that are wrong. This can apply to the greater issues in society, but also the small day-to-day interactions. Verse 28 to 29, be not a witness against your neighbor without cause, and do not deceive with your lips. Do not say, I will do to him as he has done to me. I will pay the man back for what he has done. The desire for vengeance always backfires. The evil done to you has come into you and is now shaping you. When we are wronged, we want to pay them back. Forgiveness, however, is a commitment to not do that, but rather to bear the cost yourself. By bearing the cost of sin, you are walking in the path of your master. Colossians 3:13 says, bearing with one another, and if one has complaint against another, forgiving each other, as Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. Justice in a micro and macro scale is lived out through awareness, good citizenship, integrity, and forgiveness. And so, as we conclude, I believe wisdom is trying to shape us here. It wants to shape our desires, how we live through experiences, and how we respond to others' experiences. And I ultimately pray that we can foster a heart that grows in worship of the one who didn't turn away from the spiritually vulnerable, but desires us to be with him, despite how many times we fall and fail to get back up. The last verse of today will be 13 to 14. My son, eat honey, for it is good, and the drippings of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste. Know that wisdom is such to your soul. If you find it, there will be a future, and your hope will not be cut off. As honey is good for the body, this wisdom is pleasant to the soul, and it's fostering a secure hope. And so I pray that you let this wisdom shape you and mold you and change you by the love of Jesus Christ that died on the cross for you. I pray that it shapes your desires and it shapes you as you walk through life, walk through adversity, and it shapes how you treat others. I love you guys. That's episode 24. I'll see you tomorrow's.